So we have the Sweaty AF podcast.
Hey.
Hi.
So are you in a sauna right now?
We are getting a little sweaty.
What temperature is that out there? I hope we don't have to cut this short.
No, we're in infrared sauna today because our equipment can only really work in an infrared sauna.
And we have also altered the temperature, so you're fine.
We're low today.
So tell me about yourself. How'd you get started with all this? You just love saunas, I'd imagine?
Do you know what? It's a lot. Joe, you do the story.
It's a bit of a story, actually. So Lacey and I, so I'm Joey, this is Lacey. We didn't know each other a couple of years ago, and we actually met in an infrared sauna. And we were both having a little bit of a health journey ourselves. We were starting on our own personal biohacking journey. And we would often just sit in the sauna together, just, out of coincidence. And we were often talking about, I've tried this, this worked, this didn't. And there'd usually be somebody else sitting in the sauna with us. And they said, this is really interesting. This is fun. Like, why don't you share this? Why don't you podcast it? So
we've both individually been biohacking for about 5 years. And we noticed such big differences for ourselves. So I was going through a divorce at the time. Joey was getting towards a divorce. So, our central nervous system was struggling and we were health-wise just not feeling great. But yeah, so we've been biohacking for about 5 years, but the podcast is 18 months. 18 months old.
Great. And do you do episodes? Because I've seen you have episodes where you're not in the sauna.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is this like a special occasion?
Yeah, here we are. We're here for it.
we like to always try and be in the sauna, but sometimes it's just not possible. We both have 2 kids. Timing, sometimes we can't do it, but yeah.
Well, also it depends where we are. So some days we record in a studio. Oftentimes we're with our ice bath, so we'll be doing some recordings around that. It depends what specialisms our guests are talking about as to which direction we go. But we are, sweaty AF. So our USP is sauna. We try to be in it as much as we can.
Take control of your own health. I am so cold. It literally feels like electricity is running through my body. I feel superhuman. So what's like your typical sauna routines? Are you trying to get in there every day?
Yeah, we typically are getting in every day. I mean, it depends the weekend with the kids because we're both. Our kids use it, but I would say we definitely use it 5-6 times a week.
Minimum 4. Like for us, 4 is our what we have to try and do each week, and we feel like we're getting the most benefits out of it.
I mean, we're traveling a lot at the moment and there's a lot more work coming in. So it depends where we are, if they have the facilities for us to have use the sauna. But yeah, it is part of our daily practice.
And it depends if we're obviously using an infrared sauna or if we're using traditional Finnish sauna. So if we're using a traditional sauna, we'll kind of cycle it as a contrast therapy. So we'll maybe do 10-20 minutes in sauna, then a couple of minutes either cold shower, cold plunge, or in the sea. And we'll do that 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 iterations. Whereas potentially if we're in an infrared sauna, we'd look more at doing a longer session in the sauna and then finishing on a cold.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we're doing a little tour of saunas at the moment. So again, it does just depend which sauna we're in. But that is our typical protocol.
Got it. So yeah, one of the main things that I wanted to talk to you about, especially as a male myself, is sauna and fertility. I'm seeing a lot. I see Andrew Huberman saying, if you want to have kids, for example, as a guy, you should avoid the sauna for at least 90 days for sperm quality and production. What are your thoughts on that? Have you done any research?
Yeah, we have. We know there are a few studies out there on male fertility and heat exposure and some specific around sauna usage. But from our understanding of what we've read, they're not kind of long-term effects. So maybe after 2 or 3 months of stopping using it, then the sperm quality returns to what it was previously. And I think we were talking about this before we jumped on the podcast, and fertility is such a complex issue, right? And it's like there may be like physiological issues with fertility, there may be psychological issues, and you probably have to kind of weigh your sauna usage up with what else is going on in your life. If sauna makes you feel a bit more relaxed, it reduces anxiety, it helps you sleep, then potentially this has an impact on your wider health, which I think it's just such a big issue. You can't just pin it maybe on sauna.
Well, and also I think there were only 2 studies and they weren't extensive enough to base your fertility journey and use of sauna upon them. I just think it hasn't really been studied in great enough depth for us to really comment too much on it.
Well, and for women even less so. We can't seem to find any studies that are related specifically to sauna on female fertility. There are studies out there with heat exposure, but nothing directly with sauna usage. So
I think it's like anything that we do and probably that you do, it is oftentimes personal and how it leaves you feeling, how healthy it leaves your body. So I mean, if your body's not healthy, but using the sauna helps you on your health journey, then you've probably got a better environment for your sperm to thrive in than if you're an unhealthy host. So I think it's like most things, it's individual, but there just hasn't been enough studies to this point.
Got it. And on the female side, though, I don't think really anyone's talking. I don't think it's an issue at all, really, right? Like, I think it's just a male thing.
Yeah, it might, it might not be an issue, but again, there's a little bit of frustration there that it's always like male subjects that are researched with these things. The most famous sauna study of all was, which everyone always cites, which is a great study because it shows reduction in all-cause mortality, but with regular sauna usage. But again, it was on males. So it would be amazing if we could get some female.
It's starting, but I think it was not until the 90s that scientific research was done on women at all. So it is happening and it's starting. But yeah, studies. There are no studies on that right now.
Right. And I'd imagine it would just be so hard to conduct a study with sauna use. Also, just because saunas are at so many different temperatures, people are, like you said, different shades of healthiness. And then there's just so many other factors in their life. So I don't even know, even if there were great studies, I don't know how good any study could particularly be.
You're right. The variables are just immense. I mean, it's we're all different shapes and sizes, different cardiovascular health. All of those would be dependent on the outcome of the study, and you wouldn't be able to get an equal number of people that had the same statistics.
And I think what we...
Yeah, but I guess just the only thing is with male fertility, I understand the thought that, the sperm want to be at a certain temperature, and being in the sauna is going to raise your body temperature, and the sperm have nowhere to go other than just down, like your testicles hang down, and that's the only way they can make themselves cooler, and you're kind of just putting them in this heat box. So I get that.
Yeah. But maybe
for everything else,
try not to aim at the baby making just after you've come out of a sauna. And in all honesty, you probably don't want to. You probably you're struggling to recover.
I'm just going right to bed. Which is a good segue. What do you think as far as, do you prefer to use sauna in the morning or at night or in the middle of the day?
We tend to use it in the morning. We're quite, we start our work day together. We drop our kids at school and we start our work day. We're straight off to the gym. We do our exercise followed by sauna and, by contrast therapy. And then we go on about our day. It's lovely if you can, at the weekend sometimes I'll use it in the evening, which is really nice for kind of, if we're doing a sound bath or something where you really need to relax and then the sleep.
I think also because we combine it with contrast therapy, right? So we're generally always ending on a cold, which for us gives us a little bit of buzz and energy. So it kind of just gets us ready for the day.
It's good in the summer.
See, for me, I always say that sauna is just my favorite part of the day. It's what I look forward to the most. So I like to leave it for the end of the day, just because it gives me something to look forward to. And then also, I also feel like I'm also a sauna junkie, so I'm just in there for so long. I feel like when I'm done, I'm just so tired and drained where I just need a nap. So that's another reason why I try to avoid it in the mornings. I feel like it makes me less productive.
Do you use contrast therapy though? So do you end on the cold with your once you finish your sauna?
Yeah, I do.
What
Always with a cold shower at the very
Yeah.
least.
I mean, we found if we were doing cold therapy too late in the evening, it definitely disrupted our sleep quality and the amount of wake events that we had. So we tend to not.
Interesting.
Although in the summer it was nice. As I carry on.
Just on sauna and sleep, I would also say, like, I think it depends what kind of sauna you use. So I think if you're in an infrared, like in the day, it's probably easier to then go about your day. I think if you're using traditional and you're doing a full like 60, 75 minute cycle, yeah, you're probably going to sleep really well afterwards. So I think a lot of what we say is you have to find your intuition with like what suits your body, So for us, we find like it gives us energy, but obviously you said you find it helps you sleep. So it doesn't matter what people tell you on the internet, like find your groove and, play around with it. I think that's the fun part of
just use your intuition. Same as everything that we do. It's intuitive to who you are and how it makes you feel.
I think that's a really good point, though, that I didn't think of, because I'm not using infrared. So I think that maybe infrared in the morning could provide more of a boost. Because at least in my experience with infrareds, it's easier and it doesn't take so much out of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I almost don't think it even raises your core body temperature as much.
It takes a lot longer to get this a little bit of a sweat. It does take an awful lot longer.
Yeah,
it is easier.
It's a very different concept. I mean, purists would say that infrared is not actually true sauna. Yeah. But from our point of view, we just really love both, and we think there's a huge place in the world for both because, if you really are quite heat sensitive, an infrared sauna is a great place to start your sauna journey because you can go in at a more gentle temperature. It might be a little bit less overwhelming with no steam. So there's definitely like place for both, and you get a little bit of like light therapy from the infrared as well. So,
and different benefits. I mean, we try to use both as often as we can because the benefits from infrared are very different.
I'm always just skeptical of infrareds. So I bought an infrared sauna on Amazon like 8 years ago, and I just thought it was crap. And I'm just like, this thing was like $1,500. I don't know what that is in euro, but it was really cheap. And I was just skeptical. I was like, what am I doing? Am I microwaving myself? Like, how do you know what's a good infrared sauna?
I think you got to go with one of the more expensive brands. Well, yeah, one of the really established brands.
Do you have a brand that you particularly like?
Yeah, I mean, we met in a Sunlighten.
Yeah.
Got it.
And we've used them a lot. We really like them. I know there are a few other big brands out there.
They're very, very good saunas.
Yeah.
But the price point is quite different to what you paid on Amazon. So I'm not sure the quality of red light you had there. And also you can have red light panels put into the Sunlighten saunas, so you've got that added benefit. Very nice.
Stacking your biohacks.
Yes, exactly that. But the benefit.
Yeah. The one I used didn't even have like a light. It was just these panels, and I guess it wasn't. Yeah, it was just infrared. So it wasn't.
You can't.
It didn't have the light.
You can't see infrared.
No.
And that's sometimes what people get a little bit confused about. Is they're like, oh, there's no light. The infrared is not visible, but the infrared saunas are often fitted with red light panels or red lights. So
yeah.
It's a different.
Well, oftentimes if you go into an infrared, the red light is just a bulb. It's not anything to do with the sauna that you're using. If you see like fitted panels with all the kind of little Star Wars red lights, then they're fitted with red light. But that's not the infrared.
So, and you guys are based out of London?
We are. Yeah, Wimbledon, London.
So that's one thing that I want to talk about is the difference in etiquette for saunas between, I don't know, will you represent all Europeans here or just people from London as far as sauna etiquette?
I mean,
We'll do both, I think.
we will do both, but remember, sauna started in Scandinavia, so it is different in the UK, and the practices are slightly different, but we try and foster the kind of Scandi way, hopefully well.
I mean, it's like, you know, sauna, obviously in Finland, it's a cultural thing. It's a ritual. It's quite sacred. And a lot of the etiquette around that is to be like very mindful when you go into the sauna, quiet,
and respectful, and they don't talk about politics or work. It's meant to be a really sacred space.
So is it no talking in Scandinavia?
No, you can talk, but
just more quiet and a bit more respectful of who else is in the sauna with you. And I mean, it depends who you go in with. Obviously, if you're going in with a group of friends, it might be slightly different than if you're in there with strangers, say. But what we're finding in the UK is, and this may be the same in the States, is sauna's now becoming like quite a social wellness thing. Like people are doing this instead of going out to bars, to restaurants, and which is a good thing. So there's a bit more of a social aspect to it. It's like, can I meet people in the sauna? It's great social interaction. So I think there's a little difference there. I think some things are quite similar, like about like cleanliness. So, you know, there's an expectation that you would always shower before sauna. You would always take towels in. You know, Scandinavia, it's very common not to wear any swimsuits, but if you want modesty, you would just wrap a towel around yourself. You know, in the UK, I think we're a little bit more reserved. So, you know, it's swimwear.
yeah, and not everybody follows the etiquette. We get quite frustrated sometimes with some of the, you know, where there's a gym we use and people don't use towels. They don't necessarily shower before they're going in or in between the plunge, and so, you know, we're sat there and we hold our tongue. But I think good manners, if you have raised with good manners, then hopefully you'll use them in the sauna as well. We don't know what it's like in America though, but imagine it's pretty similar to you, Paul.
I think it's worse. I mean, obviously we have like dedicated sauna places, so maybe they would have better rules and etiquette. But I mean, here in the United States, if you don't have a blatant rule, people are going to just break every piece of etiquette, first and foremost. But then, you know, so much of like my sauna is just at my local gym. So they're not like prioritizing, you know, sauna use at all. And they just don't really care. I mean, they have like a set of rules outside of it, but nobody follows anything. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, I think maybe if you're going specifically to a sauna, it'll be more of the rituals, you know, and it's things about like the temperature control, steam control. You know, in Finland and Scandinavia, you're very mindful of who else is in there. Do they want it hotter? Do they want more steam? Whereas, you know, maybe at a gym, you just come in and they're chucking the water on and nobody cares. So, you know, for us, I think it would be nice to have this conversation, because it's like actually sauna for people can be a really mindful experience.
What's your opinion on, let's say two people are in the sauna, one person wants it hotter, one person likes the current temperature. Who wins?
I think it's got to be a compromise, right? It's maybe they move to the top bench and get the hotter, they move down and you put a little half a ladle on and see how you go.
I mean, and also head towards the heater if you're wanting it hotter, and likewise head to the other direction if you're not. I think it can become very uncomfortable for somebody if the temperature's too high, so you might be mindful of that and hold out a little bit longer in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I always say I don't think that even people that are using the sauna should have access to the temperature. Like you said, I believe that the temperature should just be set, and then there should be layers of benches. So if you want it higher, you go higher. If you want it lower, you go lower.
See, that's what we have at our gym, and they purposefully housed the heater, I think, to stop silly people, you know, throwing water.
We have that too. And then, of course, people just wet the towel and they put it over the sensor to artificially do it, which I think is going to break the sauna. And that always...
But also, I think this kind of goes back to this like intuitive thing. Like, it's always like, I don't know, oh, I've done 5 minutes in the cold plunge at this degree, or I've done 25 minutes in the sauna at 90 degrees. And it's like, don't make it a competition. Like, just enjoy it.
So at the gym we go to, where we do use sauna if we're not using it at home or another facility, there are two huge saunas. One is around about 60 degrees Celsius and the other is about 90 degrees Celsius. The 60-degree one's actually really nice for contrast therapy because you get a good sweat in there, and the other one's a little bit too dry. But you walk past and it's just all men on the seats. Then the slightly cooler one, it's just all the girls. So it is very ego led. I think contrast therapy, I mean, we do a lot of work with Brass Monkey, the ice baths, and a conversation we keep having time and again with Dan, the owner, is, which is why they work with us quite a lot, is trying to pull it away from this ego-driven, we've got to be in there for 10 minutes. It's intuitive, all of this. It has to be intuitive. And I think that's the message that they want to get across.
And then not just for women, like it's not intuitive for women, like to have cycles and things are different, but also for men, you might have had a really shitty night's sleep and actually your body can't quite take that same stress that it took last week because you're running on no sleep, or other times you might need more. So I think you got to listen a little bit more. We all have to listen a little bit more to our bodies and what they're telling us with these kind of stresses that we're doing.
Yeah, because that's what we're doing. We're putting the body under a stress. So you can't, have to listen.
So on an intuitive level, what are you looking for? Let's say, for example, you have, you say you like to do it in the mornings. Let's say you wake up, you have a perfect sleep, so your routine is set, you're in. So you're you're operating at 90% to 100%. And then you go in the sauna. What type of feedback are you looking for from your body to let you know when that's enough time?
It just, we have it oftentimes. I mean, particularly for us when we're having our period, the difference your body feels, you can't handle as much. Like, your body's just...
For the temperature, so you're sort of like, I feel hot now. I'm going to hop out, do a little cold, come back. And we don't often look at the time. It's just a feeling. And I think if you stop looking at the time, and I mean, it probably is always between 10 and 20 minutes. It's probably a range. But it's like, sometimes
I'm too hot now. I'm actually feeling too hot, need to leave, take some have a plunge or a cold shower,
and don't push it to try and make it that 15 minutes. Like if you've been in for 12,
and sometimes it might be half an hour and we're sat talking and we're absolutely fine. It just depends where your body is that day. It's just a feeling, right. You just know. It's the only way I can describe it. Same with hot and with cold. It's a feeling.
Yeah, just too hot, simple as that.
And you feel your heart going faster, right? Your body is struggling to deal with the level of heat.
So what do you think, other than people staying in the sauna for too long, what is something else that people get wrong about sauna use?
Oh, can I go?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
And I really have to zip my mouth every time, but it's the plastic water bottle. No, actually, it's two things. You thought I was going to say the other thing. I'll say the first, plastic water bottle. Oh, please, which... I could never...
Got a glass one right
here.
here.
Well done. But metal or glass, please. You're just... The plastic's leaching into the water and you're losing the toxins. You're ridding your body of the toxins and then you're putting straight back in a far worse form probably. And then we equally like this one.
The other one is the towel, not taking a towel in, sitting on the bench just with...
dripping because you've just come out of the plunge and you're then sat there like, and it happens all the time. all the time. It's just
It's really good to have a towel with you, particularly like in an infrared sauna, but also in regular sauna. Like after you come out of sauna, it's good to actually physically wipe the sweat off of you, even before you go and have a shower, and really get rid of what you've sweated out. Because yes, some of it will be salts and minerals, but some of it will be toxins. So,
Yeah. You know, I actually did a video about that like 6 months ago. About the need to shower. Like I said, if there's one thing you do after a sauna, just hop in the shower, get those toxins off your body.
Yeah.
You would be surprised at how many people jumped down my throat for saying that I was wrong and that you don't actually sweat out toxins. Because if you were to Google, do you sweat out toxins? Google's going to say you don't.
no.
Google's going to tell me I've got cancer. Every single thing that I put
I know.
in. So,
It's just crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's people out there that think that you don't sweat out toxins.
What are we doing it for?
I know.
There's that really awesome study they did. I think it was infrared sauna with the firefighters after 9/11, where they were actually sweating out the chemicals, and it was colors.
Wow.
There was like purple coming out in their sweat.
I mean,
Oh my
the
God.
fires in LA right now, there are a couple of brands that have offered their saunas free for firefighters because, it's definitely a thing. So,
Wow. You'll have to send me that study. I want to take a look at it. I'm so interested in this because I still have a chip on my shoulder about this whole thing. I thought it was just like a nothing video. I was like, oh yeah, like go in the sauna after you shower, get the toxins off. And it's like, no, you're wrong. You don't actually sweat out toxins. You only like urinate them out.
people are crazy,
then,
right? They're just so desperate to
know.
prove you wrong. And even if they are wrong, they still want to prove you wrong. No, we will send you the study. You can pop it on there.
Good. Yes. I'll say that one thing I think people get wrong too, is, in the same vein, is bringing their phone in the sauna. I think that's a huge faux pas. What do you think?
We are oftentimes filming content in there, so we are very, very guilty. But I would agree if we're not working, and I'm there to relax, I wouldn't take my phone. But my phone wouldn't come anywhere with me if I'm not working or needing to get hold of for my kids.
Shoes too are another thing that people wear in the sauna here, which annoys me.
Wow.
Little flip-flops or shoes?
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, shoes. I don't mind. What do you think about flip-flops? What's your thought there?
Well, we do, because I don't want to pick up a verruca from somebody else.
In the gym, I think in a wet environment, if you're in, it's good to wear slides or flip-flops, but not outdoor shoes.
Good.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people here, like, they love, and I don't blame them, honestly, like, before their workout, they'll just go in the sauna with all their workout clothes on, just kind of like get a good stretch going. That pisses me off.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't like that either.
But I understand why they do it.
All that polyester and stuff in the sauna as well, that's not ideal.
Yeah, we don't see that. That's a bit of an odd one. But there's quite a lot. I mean, we could...
There's a lot of avoided behaviour. We could probably make a whole nother podcast of, like, things we overhear and see in the sauna. Yeah.
That'd be a good podcast name, Overheard in the Sauna. So what other biohacks outside of sauna and cold plunge are you into?
So we have, like, our stacks, don't we? We obviously get to try an awful lot of things. We're quite fortunate with the tech that we get to try and... brands that we work with, but besides contrast, which is definitely 100% our top biohack, we love breath work, grounding, mouth tape, supplementation, light, because here in the northern hemisphere we get very little daylight before. Well, we get up quite ever, but we get up quite early, so we actually use these glasses which set our circadian rhythm.
I'm a nutritionist, so like food and nutrition is quite a big one.
Huge. I mean, our exercise, beyond the basics of exercise,
strength training, 100%.
Sleep training. Like, sleep is very important for us. We're very, very strict on the time we will go to sleep, and we don't drink alcohol at all. We haven't for quite a long period of time.
That's great. Have you seen like a rise in biohacking in London, similar to how we have in the United States?
Yeah, a little bit, I would say. Not huge amounts, but I think there's just maybe a little, maybe less biohacking and people more looking at it as like longevity. So they're just thinking about how they're aging a little bit more.
Maybe more prevention over cure. I mean, similar to America, you know, our healthcare system, well, they're very different healthcare systems, but people seem to lean into it rather than preventing themselves getting there. And I think post-COVID, not everybody, but people are more accountable for their health. I mean, I know sauna sales went up exponentially after COVID, during COVID.
Yeah, COVID was a huge driver, I feel like, which kind of woke people up. And on so many levels, it woke people up, but especially just for taking care of their own health and not putting it in the hands of other people and just being like, what can I do to better my health?
Exactly.
Next segment, we have underrated, overrated. So this will just be rapid fire.
Oh, yes.
I'm gonna say some words. You just tell me if it's underrated, overrated. Between the two of you, I guess you can go back and forth, or just you could talk amongst yourselves. But all right, first up, sauna hats.
She loves them.
I love them. For traditional sauna, you can stay in longer. It helps you regulate your temperature. So I think good.
They're so ugly though. they have.
You have to say underrated or overrated.
Underrated.
I'll go with her.
Okay. Infrared saunas.
Underrated. They're amazing. The benefits are. But there's a place for them. Underrated.
Contrast therapy.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Okay. Essential oils in the sauna.
Overrated.
Yeah.
Steaming the rocks.
Depends who's allowed. It depends who's allowed in the control. I think you're right with what you said.
Underrated.
I think what you said earlier, it should be controlled by a professional. We know what we're doing.
If you have a sauna master, then just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Right. My answer would have been overrated for that one. I think it's over. I think there's so many people, they just want to get in the sauna and just start splashing the rocks because they want
it's like a mat
feedback
kind
of
of
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then lastly, being naked in the sauna.
It's very European. I mean, you know, we've been asked to podcast naked. It's obviously it's declined. So
I think it's underrated because actually I think I don't really want to be wearing like a synthetic materials in the sauna, but I think like culturally here it's just not a thing right now. But in Scandinavia, I would happily go naked.
We are going soon, so you know.
This next section is brought to you by Cold Plunge Memes on Instagram, the funniest cold plunge memes on the internet.
This is the world's only sauna on a Ferris wheel.
Finland is famous for its sauna culture, and we have almost as many saunas as we have people, over 3 million. This sauna is located in Helsinki, the capital of Finland. The views from the sauna are great. You can even admire the Cathedral of Helsinki from here. The sauna was pretty hot, but luckily you can use the radio phone to inform the staff when you want to take a break and enjoy your time in this hot bath. I like this, but it was also super expensive for me.
I paid 260 euros for this experience.
You can rent the sauna and the hot bath for up to 15 people and the price is the same.
Have you ever seen that before?
No, I've not seen it. That's very expensive.
So what are your thoughts on the sauna Ferris wheel?
I don't like heights, so for me, I and also you don't need to rock around when you're because it can make you feel sick.
I thought it was so cool. I love
It looks cool, but
I mean, it really just
I think it made me
it justifies the vacation to Finland.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I just want to be able to say that I rode on the sauna Ferris
We're
wheel.
going soon, so
I think there are probably so many beautiful saunas in Finland in like these beautiful nature environments that I maybe would prefer than the Ferris wheel.
Oh yeah, the height.
So you think it's a gimmick?
Yeah.
Agreed. So that leads me to another question. What is the coolest sauna you've been in? Like your favorite sauna you've ever been in?
Oh, do you know what was very cool for us? So last year at HOS, Health Optimization Summit in London, we worked with Brass Monkey and Sunlighten, and we took the podcast there, and we had contrast therapy sessions with a crowd. So actually, I think that was the coolest experience because
it was live. We were live at a conference, basically podcasting live, and there were like big crowds of people watching us record and then jump in the cold plunge.
So we did mini like podcasts in the sauna, and then we did a cold plunge with the guest, and I think we did 18 over the weekend. So we were quite exhausted after it. But yeah.
And that's all on your YouTube channel?
That's on Insta. We're on Insta. Yeah.
All right. Final segment. If you could put one message on a billboard, what would it be?
Listen to Sweaty AF. They're the best biohackers in the world.
It's too long for a billboard.
Sauna regularly.
And listen to Sweaty
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
We're mostly in the sauna on Instagram at Sweaty AF Podcast. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Music,
Amazon Music. There's, I think, 84 episodes now. So
yeah,
go and listen.
Boom. Thank you so much.
This is the Cold Plunge Podcast with me, Mike Gorman. Be sure to check out the video version of this podcast on our YouTube channel and check the show notes for any references, studies, or links to anything I spoke about on our website at plungereviews.com/podcasts.